Until I learned these 3 editing principles, I can honestly say that I wasn't a very good editor. I might have been okay, but I wasn't good. I wouldn't have called myself good. And if you give me a few minutes of your time, I can promise you that the next video you make will be much better for having known what I'm about to share with you right now. So give me a few minutes. Let's get into it. Here is the first principle. Be mindful of the music that you choose for your video. And I know, hold on, you're going to be like, hey, Trent, this is obvious as crap. I know this. Obviously, don't choose the wrong song. But it's more than that, isn't it? You can choose a song that you think is not wrong. However, in retrospect, you look back and you're like, man, that song choice sucked. I've been there. I know I have. So here's what I did to get over that and to fix that, right? To choose the right song, to know what song is the right song. And if you've been around the channel for a while, you know that I made a video probably over 1.5 years ago now about how to work sound design into your video to make your video better, right? Because sound is so important to our videos, and I'm going to keep preaching that because I really believe that. So what can you do to make sure that the mood, the tempo, the feeling of the video is well delivered, the one that you want the audience to feel, right? If you want them to feel sad, how can I make sure that the audience recognizes that this scene or this whole movie is sad, right? We don't want to throw in hip-hop tracks that are upbeat and intense or music that sounds like it should be fitting in an action movie that's really high-paced. We want to find something that feels the same way we want our audience to feel. But if you don't know how you want your audience to feel, then what do you choose, right? How do you know what to choose? It's not just opinion of what music you like. Sure, you might do that in, the beginning of your career of making videos, but it's not right. It's not what you should be doing. Because I promise you, I've been there choosing songs that I thought were just cool and throwing them on the weirdest videos that had nothing to do with that. It just doesn't make sense and it throws the audience off. So your goal should be to make sure the audience feels what you think they should be feeling based off of whatever that video is. That should be your goal with music. Support the story, support the mood. Do not take away from it. And that has a lot of factors. I get it. It's hard to do. The second principle is to be very, very picky about which video clips that you have make it in your video and which ones do not. And I promise you, you're going to, if you get like an amazing cool shot on a drone, you're going to want to put it in your video. Don't do it if it doesn't help the video directly. And I don't mean like, oh, it could give it, a little hint at what's coming in the next segment. It doesn't matter. People don't want a hint. They want to be given. And I'm not saying that's the right way things should be. I'm saying that's the way things are. You can hint at things while still delivering them something of value. So let's back it up. You get a cool drone shot, or you are shooting something at sunset and you get the super cool sun flare and you're like, dude, that's sick. It's got to make it in the edit. Ask yourself, does the video benefit directly from this shot? And I don't mean does it visually benefit directly, because yes, a visually pretty shot is going to be pretty. That's obvious. But does it support the story? Does it support the delivery, the tone, the mood, like we just talked about? Does it support everything that I want my audience to take away from what they're watching in this exact moment? So if at 5 minutes into a video and your video is supposed to be sad, or let's switch it up, it's supposed to be angry, does this shot make me feel calm or tense? Or does it make me feel like the characters or the audience, or just maybe you're just talking on YouTube and you're making a video about your daily vlog? Does this scene that's supposed to be intense have some somber song in the background of it? Or does it have some shot that's so serene and calm looking, right? Like that was obviously, that sounds weird. It doesn't fit what you expect. That's what you need to be doing. You need to be putting yourself into the audience's shoes to register whether or not that audience is going to understand whatever it is you're trying to deliver through that segment. So that comes down to music, like I said, but it also comes down to shots. If you have 3 angles of this right here, like let's say I'm shooting 3 different cameras, I'm not, and I'm cutting between all of them, that's going to distract you from my point. My point here is to teach you something very clearly, very directly. If I am distracting you by changing the shot, how is that going to help you? Does that make sense? It could be nice to have like another angle. Some people do that whole looking back and forth thing. Totally okay if it fits their story or if it's their angle, but it's not what I want to do with this video. So keep it in mind. We're going to move on to the third point and the final point. And that final point, I think inarguably the most valuable, is your attention to motivation. And then maybe you're like, oh, what does that mean, dude? Your attention to motivation? What the hell are you talking about? Exactly. Hold on. So what I'm talking about is not motivation. Like, man, I need to be motivated to make a video, or I need to be motivated to go to the gym. That's like self-motivation. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about the type of motivation that leads your story, leads your edit, right? You are the editor. You are the final pass between production and delivery to the audience. The audience only sees what you allow them to see because you're the editor. You've determined what the audience sees, therefore you have the power. So since you have the power to make the audience feel and understand it and react so much more powerfully to your video than they could have if you didn't edit it, for instance. I'm talking about a thing that's invisible, a story beat. The way the story should be moving and feels like it should be moving, and they don't need to know how the story is going to move. You need to know how the story is going to move, but is your video following the story beat, right? Is it too slow? Is it too fast? Is it perfect? Maybe it is perfect. That's great. We don't want to edit, for instance, to the beat of a song if the video doesn't need us to edit to the beat of that song. We're not making a music video in this case, right? We're talking. If I'm trying to deliver a scene that's action-packed, well, then a lot of coverage like we talked about and a lot of, quick cuts might deliver the intensity of that scene much better than one really long, slow, drawn-out shot. But at the same time, for the same scene, if you have something very intense and you want to have one shot, right, and the camera is running alongside the actor, for instance, right, one long shot can make you, the audience, feel like you're right there in it. That might be just as powerful, but knowing how to cut, choose, and hold shots, I think is going to be much more beneficial long-term for your video's delivery. And I'm not just talking about talking heads like I'm doing here. I'm talking about if you're making a short film and you don't know, how to make the audience feel really, really sad when something really sad is supposed to be happening. Well, if you hold the shot and let the audience really sit there with it and feel it, right, that could be a much better delivery than if you're cutting a bunch of angles to people's reactions and faces. Like, sure, it might help a little bit, but the audience is your primary target. Don't show them the beauty of what your shot looked like. Show them why they should believe what you're selling, right? I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to stop there. We're getting too deep into it, but you need to do whatever serves the audience the best to deliver your story the way you feel the story needs to be told. It will come in time. You will figure this out the more you do it, but I hope this helped you. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Okay. This was my first video filmed in like 3 months. Weird.